What's up, guys? You know what's more entertaining than listening to people talk about the size of another man's microphone? It's those who go on social media wanting to talk about the Activision Blizzard deal and get up in all their feelings on just how this is so bad for the industry when they absolutely have no frigging clue on how the real world works or just how bad it is out there outside of their little hobbit hole that they call their little special world, and just how the gaming industry is in a little bit of turmoil right now. And without purchases like this, we could probably see companies disappear. No, I'm not going to say Activision was going to go out of business, but Bobby Kotick and the rest of the executives over at Activision were running the company into the ground. Numerous violations for employee, human rights stuff going on in the American government. And let's just face it, they were not in very good standing. To compound matters and make them even worse now here in 2023, we're seeing the whole kind of golden age of buyouts coming to a close, with Embracer Group starting to want to go around and holding companies hostage, saying buy them or we'll close them down. I mean, it is just absolutely insane on just what is going on in the gaming industry. And we could see new players like Tencent, Amazon, and Google make purchases that overnight make them a big industry powerhouse. So at least we can kind of be happy in the fact that at least Activision Blizzard is going to remain Activision Blizzard for the most part, and they are still going to cater to the big three. But now we're starting to see that the CMA does want to kind of approve the deal. Should we trust the CMA? I don't know. We've seen this once before earlier this year when they tried to say, well, we don't really see a competition concern between Xbox and PlayStation. We only see cloud concerns. And everybody thought that maybe this was going to go through, and they obviously blocked the deal earlier this year. Now, all of a sudden, Xbox is being able to kind of corner the CMA because, let's just face it, the CMA was making the UK government look bad. The UK government was trying to convince tech companies to come over there and have startups and just invest in the United Kingdom for tech. And the CMA was like, oh, no. We want to just definitely kind of screw and meddle with everything they're trying to do. And let's just face it, that the UK government had some things to say. I mean, if you saw the Bloomberg interview between the leader, one of the leaders of the CMA and Bloomberg, obviously, that the CMA official looked like she was just completely pissed off to be there to even have the discussion, that they were put in a situation where Xbox was going to kind of get what they want, which is the Activision deal over the finish line. Now, I'm pretty sure a majority of you probably already know, but one big major thing that has now come out of the new deal, as the CMA is trying to push it, when honestly this has been the same deal the whole damn time. It's just now Ubisoft has been brought into the equation, and they are going to be the handlers of the cloud licensing of Activision, with Microsoft selling the cloud licensing rights to Activision games to Ubisoft, who will then sell them to anybody who wants them, no questions asked. And the CMA seems pretty happy with that, but success does come with a price. And the CMA has a couple of stipulations, demands if you want to call them, on exactly also some other things they want to see done between Microsoft and Ubisoft. The first demand that the CMA wants is Ubisoft may not grant Microsoft an exclusive license to the Activision games, and any such purported license would be null and void. So no exclusive games for Xbox, even if they're willing to flip a price tag to Ubisoft. The second one is Ubisoft may not offer Microsoft preferential pricing nor material preferential treatment with respect to cloud streaming rights not made available to third parties. Third one, Microsoft must offer Activision games to Ubisoft at a price that is no higher to the wholesale price for digital download and retail sales of PC and console versions of the same content. Number 4, Microsoft must provide Ubisoft with the Activision games in a standard executable format sufficiently in advance to allow Ubisoft to release them on the same date as they are released on console and PC. The fifth one, Microsoft will ensure the quality, content, features, and performance of any Activision game delivered to Ubisoft will be materially similar to the non-streaming version of that Activision game. Microsoft will not design PC versions of Activision games or any other versions which are planned to be available on multiple cloud streaming services to be solely optimized for its own cloud streaming service. Number 6, Microsoft must port Activision games to non-Windows OS following a request from Ubisoft. So if Ubisoft wants that thing on Linux, Microsoft has to optimize and create the game and develop it to work on Linux. The CMA even goes into a little detail on that whole putting it on other platforms, saying Microsoft must carry out this work at its regular pace and at quality and standard which is customary in the gaming industry. Microsoft can only charge Ubisoft for the reasonable costs incurred for this work. Microsoft is also required to provide Ubisoft with development and porting plans for the Activision games reasonably in advance. The seventh provision is Ubisoft will compensate Microsoft for the Activision streaming rights through a one-off payment and through a market-based wholesale pricing mechanism, including an option that supports pricing based on usage. This will allow Ubisoft to license out the Activision streaming rights under any business model of its choosing, including buy-to-play, multi-game subscription services, or any other model that may arise. And number 8, Microsoft will offer technical support to Ubisoft for Activision games. It will offer reasonable technical support for Ubisoft sub-licensees, provided these cover Microsoft's reasonable costs. Now, the CMA, at the end of all these demands, definitely goes into a little detail on how exactly they are going to make sure that Microsoft follows these rules. A monitoring trustee to oversee the parties' compliance with the proposal undertakings. If required by the CMA, the parties will also be required to provide annual compliance reports to the CMA, setting out the steps taken to ensure compliance with the undertakings. Their proposed undertakings require the parties to comply with the dispute resolution provisions included the Ubisoft divestment agreement, encompassing a fast-track escalation process and arbitration, and require the parties to keep the CMA informed of any dispute referred to the fast-track escalation process. There's even a rumor coming out that the CMA has also stipulated that Microsoft is not allowed to even purchase Ubisoft, the company, for at least 10 years. And now, can we really say that even though that Microsoft has got one over on the CMA and they are possibly going to get this deal approved in the end, is this really mean that the CMA is removed from the equation? Because with all these stipulations and the fact that the CMA wants to be heavily invested into what happens after the deal, it just really does seem that the CMA is going to be a big part of this deal for a very long time, if not forever. Now, because of the CMA, the FTC, and every version of the alphabet gang out there in the regulatory world, Microsoft has actually spent more than $69 billion on Activision. The actual price tag for Activision, after all the legal fees and BS that Microsoft has had to go through, sits somewhere over $73 billion, which really shows that Microsoft was hell-bent determined to really get this deal across the finish line, and they had to pull some major strings and go through a lot of sleepless nights to be able to pull this one off. But at the end of the day, I'm excited, Xbox fans are excited, but the Sony fans that are out there that seem to think that the Xbox brand is not deserving of this, or that somehow Xbox is this evil corporate conglomerate that just absorbs and destroys companies, it's just not going to sink in for you until you click on your favorite Call of Duty game or other Activision game for that matter, and you see that Microsoft Studios logo pop up at the beginning of the game. By perseverance and determination, Microsoft was not only able to get this deal across the finish line with the FTC, but now we see they have done it again with them getting it across the finish line with the CMA. Now, it has not been officially struck in stone yet. We are probably not going to see the approval until probably somewhere around October 7th, all the way up to October 16th. But I am pretty sure when the CMA comes out and approves the deal, Xbox is going to be scrambling at signing that paperwork with Mr. Bobby Kotick and the rest of the executives involved over at Activision and getting this deal done before the expiration date of October 16th. So everybody keep it locked in right here on this channel with me. If you enjoyed today's content, also please like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me everything about how you feel about this deal. Are you mad about it? Are you happy for it? Are you worried about what's going to happen because of industry consolidation, which is technically also a real fear? Also, please check out my end card here on the channel. Watch my latest video, explore my channel. And as always, everybody, please just remember, no matter what, just play the damn game that you prefer on the platform that you love, no matter what anybody says. I am Centurion 1307, and thank you for watching.